Hello, 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 guys. This is Sarah Colato with Architecture Talk Tongue. Today is just a great day because I've got Aya Shlachter with me. Aya became a friend of mine in the last 2 months, so I'm really, really excited to basically promote her and her work. I know very, very much from the inside of organizing also about her work and the business that she's developing. And I'm really excited to share it with the community, especially with the female architects that are following me on the platforms, because I really believe in Aya and her product, and I'll let her introduce herself properly before I keep you more in the guess game. So Aya, would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself and especially about Architect My Life?
Yeah, hi Sarah. Aya Shlachter here. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, for people who are watching all over the world. I am Filipino American. I was born in the Philippines, moved to the US when I was 19, and I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and I started MGS Global Group. It's an architecture business that supports architecture and design firms in hospitality, retail. We basically help them with production drawings. So that was my business for the last 15 years. But recently, due to COVID, I started my business slowed down. Obviously, no one was doing construction and architects' jobs were kind of sparse early COVID. One day I was looking at the Facebook group in one of the mothers groups, and I saw a common theme in the group that was people were overwhelmed, people were not sure about their jobs, there was no job security, and it was hard for moms, especially moms who are also firm owners, juggling between taking care of their kids, taking care of schooling them, also taking care of the husband, taking care of the household, taking care of everything, and it was just overwhelmed. So I realized maybe I can help because I've done that before. I've scaled several businesses in the last 15 years. I've made several mistakes, but I've found a balance between my life and my work, work life basically. So I decided, I'll create a group called Architect My Life, Architect My Freedom, where I help women in the creative industry think about entrepreneurship, people who want to start, scale, and accelerate their businesses while taking control of their lives and livelihoods. So that's how Architect My Life was born.
Amazing. So isn't that just exciting? I'm really, really finding it super refreshing to have someone basically want to represent female architects. And of course, we have more and more projects like this. But I just think that there isn't enough awareness around how much we have to juggle as women, especially when we have families and we are basically working in a male-dominated industry, which is architecture. And there is definitely a lot of issues that arise from it, which we have to deal with as women. And I just really love the fact that you stepped up, Aya, and are creating like a community and also a product value for women which are dealing with all those different obstacles of also family and personal career development in architecture. So this is really great. And I really also, I've been following some of your lives in your group, Architect My Life. And I really love how you've been talking a lot about these personal things that are basically, I think, aspects that a lot of women in architecture can resonate with, which really relates to burnout or certain issues that we might face as women architects. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about this? Of course, with the hope that the women that are also following me and will see this video might join your group, because ladies, really, it's just incredibly impactful. And it started recently, but I find so much value in this place as well. So tell us a little bit more about this journey and some of the things that you started to identify and that you're helping with.
Yeah. So one of the things, one thing about me is I'm an introvert and I'm very shy. And I really hesitated to do this Facebook group, but I realized I can't keep it to myself anymore. If I have a good message to share or good experiences, it's kind of like my responsibility to share them with the people who can help, who I can help based on my mistakes and my experiences and my successes. That's why in my videos, I'm a little bit awkward in the beginning, but I'm getting used to it. But I really do I believe I can help people who have the same struggles, or had the same struggles as I did when I was starting my business. One of the first things that I would like to talk about is being a mom and taking care of the business. A lot of the times, especially now during COVID, women are actually dropping out of the workforce because they're forced to stay home with the kids and take care of the kids instead of their spouses. So that's a big problem. Like, we need to find a solution to more equality in the family. That's number one, right? I mean, we went to a lot of architecture school, 5 years plus people who got their licenses. Why should we be the ones to stay home? We need to find some kind of a balance. That's not only within the family, but also in society. So that's one thing that is a big issue right now, not only in the architecture profession, but also in, the global economy as well. So that's number one. Number two, I also see a lot of problems or posts on the group about women who are overwhelmed with work, which is a good thing. There's a lot of work, especially in the residential industries right now, and people are just so overwhelmed. They're turning down jobs. So that's one thing I can help with too, like how to scale a business. I did that when my son was only I think a year old. I had 0 employees and it grew to like 10 in a year. So I know how to help people scale their businesses, train their employees, do all these, um, taking care of business, things like that. It's scaling a business and fulfilling client needs without burnout, because that's the problem. We get so excited when we start our business, we get all these clients. But then when we have a surge, you don't know how to fulfill. People get overwhelmed. They become cranky. They don't sleep. They become, I became a bad mom, wife, because I was so burnt out. But there is a way to manage your client delivery. um I can share my experiences about that as well. So that's number two. Number three, for people who are just starting out, how to find new work, right? So, having a lot of work could be a problem because it's hard to fulfill jobs, but also having no work could be a problem too. So I could share some of my experiences about business development, how to create your strategy of preeminence, what makes you special, what makes your clients go to you and not the competitor, things like that. I really have, I'm excited to share that with the people who would like to talk to me about it.
That sounds amazing. Of course, like I know your story a little bit, but I would love really for you to tell us a little bit more about that journey from basically studying architecture all the way through to starting MGS Global, because MGS Global really is a business that is in a way providing for the architecture world, but it's not a very traditional model of an architectural business, because it's all based on outsourcing and scaling up. And really just providing a service which architects need to fulfill their projects and clients. And I think that there is an interesting element in there already that caused you to develop a business that is a little bit outside of the brackets of
Yeah.
architecture. So would you tell us a little bit more about that journey, and what really inspired you to start a business like MGS Global in the first place?
Okay, so when I moved here, I wanted to go to school, get my master's, take my 3 years of experience working in firms, and then, get my licensing exam, and then I'll be very successful, right? Start my firm. So I tied having a license to being successful. In my head, not having a license, I was not going to be successful because we went through all that schooling. But that was the ideal scenario. But realistically, I did all that up to when I got my license. I didn't know I was going to get married. Oops. I got married, had a baby, economy crashed. I was taking my exams, but in 2008, when the economy crashed, my husband and I moved to the Philippines from New York City. We could not sustain our life in New York because I didn't have I was already a consultant then. So moved to the Philippines. I was going to study for my exams, but the nearest testing site was in Hong Kong. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll not study yet because I can't afford to take a test in Hong Kong. So started MGS Global Group. Well, a lot of my old clients, my bosses in the past, asked me to do drawings for them. So I did all this design development, drawing CDs for my former clients, and that grew into this whole business. Now I'm serving retail, major retail companies, hospitality companies, big quick service restaurants. So now, instead of being an architect, now I support architecture firms, design firms, and that has become my path. I did not plan that path, but it's the path that kind of happened to me. But I'm happy about it because now I get to serve all these architects.
Absolutely. And I think that the key element in all of it is that, of course, you have an entrepreneurial spirit,
Yes.
um, and a passion for it, for developing businesses in the first place.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was not easy. In the beginning, Sarah, I was only dealing with, and this is one of the mistakes I want to share with people who are scaling their business or are busy taking care of their thriving businesses. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't only serve one type of industry, or not industry, but type of architecture. Like if you're in residential, try to think of other ways you can serve the residential industry, maybe real estate or things like that. You kind of have to diversify. I was so busy working on my retail clients. We started doing about 12 stores a month. We scaled up to around 100 retail stores. We did DDs to CDs for this design development, all the way to construction documents for this big retail company. And I was so overwhelmed with training my staff, hiring my staff, delivering, and money was good. Like I was making a lot of money then. And I forgot about the fact that, hey, what about when the pipeline dies? What happens to all my team members? But I was too busy focusing on client delivery that later on, after we did so many stores, it lasted like 5 years. We were busy for 5 years, but the work started to decline. And I realized, okay, this was bad as an entrepreneur, not to think about develop other businesses or diversify. And unfortunately, I had to lay off a few team members, which I did not want to do. So that was not an irresponsible, I just didn't know what to do or how to do business development. And that's one thing that we all have to learn as an entrepreneur, or if you're starting a business. You might be busy right now, but you need to think of the long game.
Of course, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think the biggest sort of perspective that you bring into the table, especially if it comes to architects, is being a mom. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Oh, wow. It's hard because when I first gave birth in New York City to my daughter, I also started my consulting business. So that was hard juggling. My baby was just a newborn. And I mean, I didn't start working till she was 3 months old. I started scaling, getting clients, but it's really hard because you have to be really very sharp when you're working with architects, with your clients. I already had high profile clients in my first 6 months. So I had to do that, but I was also really exhausted and tired. So what I did was I hired some of my friends and colleagues to help me with delivery process in my tiny 1 bedroom apartment in Queens. And my husband is also very supportive, which really helped that. So it's important to find your support. So it's been really challenging, and it seemed like every time I started, whenever my business started to grow, the second time when I started scaling my business, I had another baby. So I had 2 kids, and it was really difficult. But again, the most important is to have a support system that can help you. And that's the most important thing, right? Your kids are only young for a few years. So make sure you don't miss out on the opportunity to raise your own kids, or, spend time with them. Maybe work can wait a little bit. And that's what in the beginning, I was all out working, and I realized I was missing out on my kids' lives, especially when I was so busy. So I decided to scale back a little bit more, because work will always be there, but time with children are precious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. And I think that it is quite a big challenge for women either employed in architecture firms or working on their own, to take maternity leave and to juggle all of this and then come back after and be successful. A lot of times you talk also about mother's guilt. And I wanted to ask you about this as well. Can you tell us a little bit more from your own experience and also what you refer to when you speak about this?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I used to travel so much, almost every month, and extremely busy. Like early, when I was at the peak of my the retail boom, I was working like 18 hours a day. But also we needed money at that time because 2008 we moved back to the Philippines with no money. We basically lived in my parents' basement for a few years. We had one child then, and then when the business started to pick up, we had two children. So for me, that was the most important thing, money, because we didn't, we lost our apartment in New York. I mean, it was crazy. So I was so focused and I became really successful and had a lot of money, but I was burning out. And although my husband was successful, I mean, very supportive, I also felt really guilty because I was traveling a lot, right? I was making money, but I just felt bad about missing all the, children's parties my kids attended, or just being present on day to day, life. Like I would leave really early at 7, come home at 2. In the beginning of my crazy MGS global career, I felt really guilty. And also I started making, a little more money, and I started feeling guilty about that too. Like I didn't feel right that I was making money. Does that make sense? But I felt guilty about that too. And also the fact that I was traveling so much, I really felt guilty. But the good thing is my husband is so supportive. He's like, it's okay. At least one of us is at home taking care of the kids, right? I mean, there's always a balance. But also one of the things that bothered me was some of the people did not understand my family dynamics. So I would hear, people talk about, or traditional women or older people say, why are you traveling so much? Why are you leaving the kids? Da, da, da. And I'm like, well, somebody has to put food on the table, especially when we were starting. We were starting from ground zero. So that was all the guilt that I felt as I was growing my business. Yeah, that wasn't good.
Absolutely. Can you give us some tips about how to manage that?
So my one of my best friends told me, Aya, you need to take. I was so stressed out, right? She's like, you need to take care of yourself first before you can make other people happy. You have to take care of your physical health, mental well-being, and don't be afraid to prioritize yourself. So what I did was I took a step back and really took care of myself and healed myself so I can be a better boss, better wife, better mom to the people around me. And that gave me the kind of peace of mind to continue doing what I'm doing, because I'm not doing it for my personal gain. I was working so hard because I needed to, and I was able to provide for my family and for my team and for my clients. So I kind of lost, like that disappeared later on when I realized, okay, I don't need to feel guilty about the things that I'm doing and all the successes, because everyone is happy. It's just it's all in the head, right? Like, what will other people think? So whatever is within my control, the people in my circle that I'm impacting, I focused on that instead of the people that concern me that are not part of, the circle of influence, or the circle of my control. You understand? So I kind of got rid of all that noise in my head that was programmed when I was a kid, that the woman has to stay home. I mean, not programmed, but their conceived notions of a woman's job to stay home, take care of the kids, things have changed, obviously. Yeah.
Of course. Well, we named this episode "Strategy for Success, Sanity, and Scalability," and I really want to ask you a question about sanity. I think that it's really important, and you already mentioned mental health and generally, basically controlling the thoughts and controlling the noise around us and whatever's limiting us or stopping us. But I also know, on the other hand, that you're an avid triathlon runner and whatever not you don't do with your marathons and all these things, amazing things that I myself asked you for tips because I find it really inspiring. Do you want to tell us a little bit also about how do you find your own personal sanity in all of this as you run these businesses and find new goals to help women now in architecture as well?
apart from drinking wine during happy hour.
That too.
um, Sanity. That's a good question. Wh- I was always very competitive athlete as a child. Like I grew up with all boy cousins, so we would play basketball, swim, bowling, whatever. When I moved here, I became part of the swim team in NJIT. So I always had that kind of I was an athlete. I love to swim and play sports. But and that was my happy place. I'm not like a size 0. I'm not skinny by any means, but I'm happy when I'm active. So that's kind of my therapy. If I'm not spinning or running in my treadmill, I feel like that's part of my day. And I can and for people who know me, they know that I have to work out in the morning first because it gives me happiness and it gives my creative juices flowing, right? So that's the first thing I do. Even if I don't have a lot of time, I'll try to do like 5-minute yoga or a 3-minute meditation. Or if I have time, I'll do a run outside or a run walk. So I think it's really important because you need space for yourselves. You need to carve out at least 5 minutes by yourself. For us moms, it's so hard. I'm always rushing out the door, taking kids to school, picking them up, going to basketball, preparing meals. But if you just spend like 5 minutes of your day by yourself, if you can go to a cafe, an open cafe or whatever, that's what I used to be before COVID. If I was so burnt out and overwhelmed, I would spend at least 10 minutes or 30 minutes by myself, drinking coffee, writing, journaling, just for my sanity, because things can get so busy, especially when the day starts and you have so much responsibility. So three as little as 3 minutes can help you with your sanity. Just breathing, deep breathing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love the advice, and I think it's extremely important. And it's really great to hear that as such a busy person as well, you still find that time, whether it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes, it's still worth it for you to do it. And I think that that's really the key, because I also practice that in the mornings. And I find that when I lean to that idea that, oh my God, I woke up late, I have no time, and I won't even do it the 3 minutes, then that day becomes more stressful throughout the day. And I'm more prompt to just get overwhelmed. Whereas if I do that for myself in the morning, I feel like just more stronger to deal with everything that comes throughout the day. So I think
Yes.
it's really important. And let's talk a little bit about scalability now. Like, I think that it's a great topic, especially in architecture, because the architecture path is such a defined traditional way towards the growth of a career. But of course, more and more, as we expose also to other business models, we can see that in certain ways you can scale faster. And I'm curious to see your outlook on that topic of scaling, especially in business and for women architects.
So first of all, if you're interested in scaling a business, one has to be really open minded or else you'll burn out, right? Like a lot of creatives are so tight. We want to do everything ourselves. I want to do all, I mean, I did that before, checked all the emails, checked all the drawings. I did all the drawings in the past. But if you want to scale, you need to give up control of a lot of things in your business. I just joined a lecture on business of architecture here in AIA Cleveland, and one of the principals said there was a Q&A, and the principal of this company said he only spends like 10% of his time designing, or even 5% of his time. I think it's like a firm of like 50 employees, but he mentioned that 5% of his time is designing, 95% of the time is running the business. So for scaling, the first advice I would give to architects or creatives who want to scale is to give up control. That's the first step. And then everything else will follow. I can teach you systems and how to onboard staff, how to train staff, communication protocols, software that you'll need to optimize a lot of the things in the business. A lot of training modules, things like that. But systems is really important. Automation, creating standards are important. But the first one is to give up control of a lot of things. I know it sounds kind of difficult to grasp for an entrepreneur, especially the creatives.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's been definitely insightful. Do you want to tell us anything exciting about Architects My Life?
Yeah, this is really exciting. I just launched this group called Architect My Life, but the whole story, I mean, it's really called Architect My Life, Architect My Freedom. So it's kind of like liberating to know that we have control of our personal freedoms if we give ourselves time and space to think about the things that we really want in our lives. So that's like my personal kind of space where I can share all my experiences with the people and even help them figure out how to take care of their financial freedoms and like time management. I mean, these are the things I really am passionate about, and I encourage people to join my group, Architect My Life. It's for women creative entrepreneurs who want to start their businesses or thinking of starting a side hustle. I have a Facebook Live, I think I did 2 days ago, about alternative careers for architects who want to make more money or extra income on the side. So that's my passion, and I'm looking forward to engaging with the people in my community.
Exactly, guys. And if you are interested, Aya created a checklist, which is like 8 steps taking you through answering the question of how to accelerate your business as a female architect. And it's at www.architectmylife.online/checklist. So you can go there and download it. It's going to get to your inbox right away. And basically, you can get firsthand tips from her about the acceleration of your business. 8 steps that that she believes to be the key things that you have to do to grow and accelerate your business as an architect. So I will post here the link as well in the comments, so you can just click on it and go into that link. It's on YouTube from what I can see. So Aya, thank you so much for joining me today. Really, really lively conversation, so much sharing. I'm inspired by your journey, and I wish you all the best as well with Architect My Life, and really excited to see you grow as well. So thank you so much for joining me, and I
Thank you,
hope I see you
Sarah.
around.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you guys as well for tuning in. Really appreciate that. The link to Aya's checklist is right on YouTube in the comments. So thank you guys, and I'll see you all around.